Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hello and welcome again to the John Loughlin podcast. Great to be here with you today. Hope you're enjoying these podcasts. I have to remind you, of course, these podcasts are paid for by the friends of John Loughlin. So just to kind of set this up a little bit, there's a lot going on in the world politically, and I'm always interested to hear the motivations of people who decide to jump into the game and to get involved in politics, which can be, at times stressful. But I've always said, if you're not having a ball campaigning, you're just not doing it right. And so we're certainly having a ball. And one of those people who jumped in is someone I've known for, over 20 years. And he is well known to Rhode Island as well. And that's Dr. Stephen Skoly. Doc Skoly has a very successful practice doing oral surgery, and basically was shut down by the state of Rhode Island because he refused to get the COVID shot. And he had good medical sound reasoning why he wanted to do that. But the state of Rhode Island treated him very, very unfairly. And I'm not sure. I don't think that well, let's ask him. Let's go right to our guest. Dr. Skoly is joining us from his office in Cranston. Dr. Skoly, welcome to the John Loughlin podcast.
Good morning, John. Thank you for having me.
So
let me set the record straight on one thing, though. I didn't jump in. With the help of you and a few of your friends, you pushed me in. And I'm glad you did.
I didn't jump, I was pushed.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about before we go into the whole COVID thing. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your motivation for deciding to take on this task.
I mean, I've honestly been thinking about it for many, many years. When I relocated back to Rhode Island, I became involved in healthcare policy. I've done some documentaries on healthcare. We morphed into a lot of different arenas. I spent some time in Washington, originally as part of what was then Hillary Care. In an ironic fashion, I was a guest of John Chafee and Christine Ferguson to participate in some of the initial healthcare debates. And those were kind of promulgated by, believe it or not, Ira Magazine, and that's going back into the 90s. I did some work with USAID and CIDVIM and doing some oral surgery around the world. And I always stayed involved in healthcare policy. I spent a lot of time at the State House in the early 90s. In fact, I probably spent more time down there, enough to the fact that some of those in charge down there wanted me to register as a lobbyist, which I really didn't need to do. I wasn't getting paid to lobby. Although that was a pretty lucrative job back then. Maybe I should have done that.
Now, your background educationally, where'd you go to school? Where did you learn this whole oral surgery thing?
Sure. I went to Assumption University as my undergraduate. In fact, I have the pleasure of being on their board of trustees. So I understand some of the challenges for higher education, certainly at that level. I went to dental school at the University of Connecticut, and then I did a general practice residency at Cook County Hospital in Chicago, and then got my postdoc certificate in oral and maxillofacial surgery. And that was a very nice experience for me. If you recall, I mean, for those that are older like myself, that show ER, that is Cook County Hospital. That Cook County Hospital represented the first level 1 trauma center in the country. And I was fortunate to train and then work there for about 6 years. And I came back to Rhode Island in 1988.
And so you decided to jump into the political game. What's the biggest thing that you see that's wrong in Washington, and how would a Congressman Skoly fix that?
Well, first of all, I couldn't take it anymore. Being involved in the legislative process and being involved in this community. I raised my family here in East Greenwich. I've been here for a long time. I participate in a lot of boards. I sit on the board for the Alliance for Long-Term Care, which kind of addresses some of Rhode Island's most vulnerable people. I've consulted for the Medical Examiner's Office. I was chair of the Rhode Island Center for Freedom and Prosperity, which is quite honestly Rhode Island's foremost conservative think tank to move policy forward so that Rhode Islanders have that freedom and prosperity. I got to the point and I realized that Rhode Islanders are not represented in Congress. In fact, there's about 16.5 million people that live in New England. We have no conservative, no common sense approach to represent those that live in our communities. And I see that in the community I live in. I live in East Greenwich, and I practice in Cranston, Rhode Island. So I've seen that throughout the second congressional district. I want to go to Washington. And I'm not going to be extremely far right. I'm not going to be extremely far left. I'm going to be far normal, which is where my constituents are. They just want a common sense approach. Now, we do expect too much of our politicians. We think that they're going to, go to Washington and attack this deep administrative state that's firmly embedded, in the healthcare space, the insurance lobbies and big pharma. They're some of the biggest lobbyists in the world. They're, in some respects, they're pretty happy with the way things are, because guess what? They're making a lot of money. So my challenge, and any challenge by any congressman or senator, is to go there and try to do the right thing for the people that you represent. And I don't see that here. So that's why I'm going to do that. And some of the big issues that we face, and you can rattle them off, whether it's, the healthcare debate, healthcare policy, big pharma, our extraordinary debt, the challenges that exist in Social Security and Medicare. Those, quite honestly, are going to take some bipartisan approach. You're not going to go in with a party ideology and solve those one party over the other. That's just not going to happen. So it's going to take a person that goes and really, for all these policies and bills and everything that we formulate in Washington, you have to look at your constituents and truly honor what you think is in their best interest. And that's what I'm going to do. And I don't think that's going on right now. So I can guarantee I will never not have the best interests of my constituents in mind on anything I look at in Washington.
Well, Doc Skoly, I know you're right now seeing patients in your Cranston office. How do people follow you on social media? What are your social media coordinates? And how do people learn more about your campaign?
Sure. Skolyforcongress.com has all our links, has the daily updates, newsletters, and you can certainly, I think my cell is in some of our advertisements. I am willing to listen to my constituents. I will participate at the highest level. I want to go to Washington. I want to truly represent Rhode Islanders. I feel real good when I'm out in the community. I mean, I know the people around me that are going to be my challengers are spending a lot of money. I have my constituents. I don't feel like I'm going to Washington. I truly feel like we are going to Washington. And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Steve Skoly.
SkolyForCongress.com.
SkolyForCongress.com. Steve Skoly, thanks for joining us on the John Loughlin podcast.
No, John, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. So that's Steve Skoly. He's running for Congress in CD2, which is Congressional District 2. And for those of you who aren't necessarily familiar with the congressional districts, if you're looking at a map of Rhode Island, and this is very rough math, so bear with me, but if you were to draw a line straight down the middle of it from top to bottom, CD2, generally speaking, is on the left-hand side of that line. That's Congressional District 2. And CD1 is on the right-hand side of that line. CD1 is represented by Congressman Gabe Amo. It looks at this point, as of this podcast, that he's running unopposed, which is interesting. And then in CD2, there is a primary that is going to take place between Victor Mellor and Steve Skoly to see who will take on incumbent Congressman Seth Magaziner. It's very difficult to beat an incumbent congressman. It can be done, but it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time and frankly, a lot of money. So I would encourage you to reach out to Doc Skoly if that's something you're moved to do after watching this podcast. When we come back, we're going to check in with Dave Leveaque. He is with the League of Rhode Island Businesses. What the heck is that all about? We'll be right back after this. So I guess it was probably about about a year or so ago that there was a bill moving its way through the General Assembly that a lot of people objected to, and it basically passed, and it was known as the assault weapons ban, and it did much more than that. It was far-reaching, and so there was a group that was opposed to that, that basically surfaced and began the process of building an organization to be able to influence policy. And the founder, or one of the founders of that group, is with me right now to tell us a little bit about the League of Rhode Island Businesses. Dave Leveaque, welcome to the podcast. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit about the League. Tell us, first of all, what was the genesis? How did this thing come about?
Well, the group started before, just around when COVID hit, when they were trying to shut all the restaurants and businesses down. That's when it started. And then it kind of fell silent. There was just not enough people to get it going. Everybody was too busy. So we just did a lot of screaming and shouting on the radio. And then when they came after the guns last year, it kind of got re-energized. And the group got together and started to fight against the overreaching legislator that was trying to take guns away from law-abiding citizens. And when that ended, the group was still together. And we said, what are we going to do now? We're not just gun guys. We're business guys, lawyers, doctors, judges, financial guys, retailers. And collectively, we said, well, why don't we just go focus on who sits in the House and Senate and try to take them out, replace them with good, common sense, normal people, middle of the road. We don't care about party. We care about the individual, the people that can go up there and produce good laws. And for the last 8.5, 9 months, that's exactly what our focus has been on.
Now, first of all, how do you get candidates? How do you get candidates, people that are willing to step up? And obviously your focus is the General Assembly area. The General Assembly, for those of you scoring at home, is the Rhode Island House and the Rhode Island Senate, 2-year terms, pay of about $19,000 a year. A tremendous time commitment because you've got to be able to attend session from January to June almost every day, and then committee hearings and other things that pop up during the course of the entire legislative season. How do you go about actually recruiting candidates?
Well, there's been a bunch of different ways. I'll tell you, being on a show like this, people hear about us and they decide to call. It's reaching out to different sitting House senators and reps up at the State House and talking to them. They have connections, talking to other business owners and somebody as a friend or somebody, talking to average people saying, hey, here's a group that's willing to help fund, give some guidance on putting your race together and support you from the start to finish. And so mainly it's been word of mouth. In order to find candidates. I think now we're up to 17 candidates. Some of them are going to be harder races than others to win, but collectively we got a good group of people already. We hope to have 2 or 3 more by the end of the, I guess the season is June, maybe the end of June or something like that you have to declare whether you're running or not.
Yeah, I believe it's around the 22nd or the 24th, somewhere in there. You have to actually fill out the declaration papers. There is a grace period afterward if no one has declared. The party chair can let's not get too technical. I did want to cover with you something, though, that actually occurred on the John Loughlin show. Yeah. I had you as a guest, and you were doing a great job, and we talked a lot about the league. And you told a story about one particular rep, a Rep Casimiro, I believe.
That's correct.
And you told a story about how she said she didn't want to vote for the bill, but she was basically forced to. And that's the sort of coercion that we see in the supermajority blob on Smith Hill. And you called her out by name, and shortly thereafter, she called my broadcast and actually threatened your business as a sitting legislature. I wonder if you could kind of recap that story a little bit and kind of give us an update on where that stands now.
Sure. Yeah. The short part was we got the drop on her just before they were about to have that hearing of the gun bill, that she didn't want to vote for it. Her constituents didn't want it, and that she was flippable. So we reached out to her, and basically that's what she said over a conference call with some other people in our league. She didn't want to vote for it. Constituents didn't want it. She hadn't read the bill, was told it was a good bill, was being pressured to vote for it. Then we saw her in the State House that day of signing the bill. She said exactly the same thing to both Shane and I. You can go look at the TV, Capitol TV, you can see it. We tell her that we'll support her. She does the right thing. I mean, she's telling us she don't want it. Her constituents don't want it. So how do you go vote for it? If someone does that, then you can't be a sitting legislator. And far too often, that's what happens up there. You get pressured in order to do things. So you have to stay on a committee or they'll primary you. So once she voted for it, we decided that, hey, she can no longer sit in office based on her own criteria, not even ours. And we exposed her. Once we did that, yes, then she threatened us on the radio. She threatened the Brewed Awakenings Coffee House that she would do whatever she could to make us financially suffer and take a sitting, a business in the state of Rhode Island out of business. And from that point, we exposed her again. We said she wasn't going to run. We said she was going to be moving out. We already got the information that she was building out of state. We had that about maybe almost 9 months ago. We sat on that until it was the right time, and we exposed that just a few months ago. And sure enough, Julie is not running, although she's trying to slide somebody in. But Julie is not running for office, and she will be out.
So kind of a victory. You know, you hate to see that happen, but you know, sometimes of these legislators, they get a little carried away. And when they do, I think they need to be called out, and you rightfully did that. Now, of the candidates you had, you mentioned you've got a bunch of candidates set up already.
Yep.
Who are you most excited about? What is that candidate that you talk about or you work with that you say that candidate's got that special je ne sais quoi? He or she's got what it takes. Who's your most exciting candidate?
Well, I would say we have a few that are most exciting. We have Leah Beauclair, who was our first candidate to announce. She's an endorsed candidate. And we have candidates in two different ways. Endorsed means we're pretty confident that race is winnable. We'll go fundraise on behalf of the candidate through local businesses and businesses throughout the state to raise money. As soon as we raise it and we get it, then we do what we can to get it into the candidate's hands. She was our first candidate. We're pretty excited about her. She's down in District 36. She's running against Tina Spears. That's a House seat. We think that is very winnable. So she's an exciting candidate. She's a strong girl. She's been a Democrat her whole life.
One thing, Dave, you know, it's my pet peeve.
Yep.
Never say the district. Tell us what towns. People don't. I was in the General Assembly for, I think, 2 terms before I realized I was in District 71. I always talked about Little Compton, Tiverton, and Portsmouth. Yeah,
I get it. So she has Narragansett, Charlestown, South County, and New Shoreham is her district. You're right. I forget about those South Kingstown, New Shoreham, and Wesley. I'm sorry. So those are her districts. Charlestown, South Kingstown, New Shoreham, and Wesley is her district. It's District 36. It's a House seat. So we're very, very excited about her. Another candidate, which was our second candidate to endorse, a good friend of mine, Mark Mizrobian. Mark lives in my hometown in Narragansett. He's been a great friend of mine for almost 20 years. He actually decided to run before we formed the 40 packs that we have at the beginning of the group. I was the second person he had called, said he was interested in running the race. So that was not because of the league to start thinking about it, but definitely the league helped influence his decision and really helped him get going. Mark is running in District 36, and the details under that are Narragansett, North Kingstown, and New Shoreham. So there's a little overlapping with him and Leah in that area. So he's running under the Senate, and he'll be going against Alana DeMario, taking Alana DeMario out. She's one of the people that's left progressive, wants to take our freedoms away, not good on business bills. Millionaires tax and all these other things. So it's a good, exciting race down there. Mark has been unbelievably successful in gathering a lot of strength, people to vote for him, donations. He set a state record history in somebody who's never been in office raising money in his first 7 weeks of last year. He'll set another state record history in total raise by the time the primary comes around. Could be close to almost almost 200,000, 175, 200,000 if all goes well. So that's another great, exciting candidate. Another one that's also exciting is Vanessa Lopez. Once again, it's District 15. Her area is Providence and Pawtucket. She's running against Megan Coleman. As you know, Megan Coleman's one that spends less time in Pawtucket, more time running over to Minnesota to knock out ICE agents and fight against the police departments and other things. She's another far-left progressive person. Vanessa Lopez will also run as a pro-business Democrat in her district. She's got a lot of exciting things going on. She's great in social media. She's an awesome girl, so we're really excited about her. So those are 3 of our endorsed candidates, and we got 2 other great ones I'd like to tell you about if I got another minute.
Absolutely.
All right. Next one would be District 32. That's going to be North Kingstown, and that's Kevin Hoyle. Kevin Hoyle is a former business owner, had a company privately held, sold it, publicly traded just before COVID. Unbelievable, humble guy. I mean, as humble as you'd want, extremely intelligent business guy, 3 masters. He was bored during COVID, went out and got his law degree at Roger Williams. Just a talented guy. He had literally heard about the league over a Zoom meeting that we had, reached out, gave me a call. We had about an hour and a half conversation. He went off there on the holiday with his family to talk to him about it while he was skiing. They come back and he said, My family's behind me 110%, and I got to run, they said. So he's on board. He's running in District 32, which is North Kingstown. That's a former seat held by Robert Craven, who stepped down.
Right.
Now, they'd like to hand that off to his son.
Yeah, the son's running. I noticed.
Yeah, like we don't believe just because your son wants to enter the race, we call him Boy Craven, should have an opportunity unless he's been tried, true, and tested. And apparently he wants to hold on to his existing seat where he works right now, and try to run for office at the same time. When you compare the two guys together, there's no comparison. Kevin Hoyle has what it takes in order to run that district and do what's right, not only for the people of North Kingstown, but also as a sitting House member for the state of Rhode Island. And our fifth candidate that's been endorsed so far, and we hope to have a couple more in the next couple of weeks, is Jim Mativia. Jim Mativia is running up in Cumberland, and his district he's a senator too, and his district is 19. That's currently held by Ryan Pearson. Although Ryan Pearson doesn't seem to be a bad guy, many times we've had a couple conversations, he just hasn't shown up. He probably has more absences than anybody else in the state house. He doesn't partake. So you can't be a sitting senator and stay in office if you don't do what's right for your constituents. Why they elect you? They elect you to go up there to create laws, look at things, help make change for your constituents and for the state of Rhode Island. He's just not doing the job, so he has to go. We already believe that he's not running. He's trying to hand that off to his cousin, which is Brendan Vos, however you pronounce his name, in the House. That's kind of try to be a last-minute horse trading between the two of them. It's not going to work. James Mativia, who's been on the city council up in Cumberland a couple of years or a couple sessions, he's really, really well liked. He's a strong candidate, and he'll more than likely be the senator for that district. So those are 5 endorsed seats so far. And like I said, when we say endorsed, we looked at the race. We know who's running on our side. We know who they're running against. And the team has decided that's a winnable race. Now, they're never going to be easy. We're going to fight for them. We're going to work for them. But we believe those 5 races are definitely winnable seats. They're fully endorsed, and we've given each of those candidates at least $10,000 out of the gate, and several more depending on their fundraising.
And that makes a huge difference. I look back many years ago when I won my first General Assembly race. I think I raised $18,000, and that was enough to win a legislative race back then in Tiverton, Little Compton, and Portsmouth. And it's yard signs, direct mail are pretty much your only expenses. Everything else there's no television. You don't have to worry about paying for radio ads. You're basically just raising money to pay for those mailers, which have gone up significantly in price, and to be able, and then the rest of it's shoe leather. The rest of it is literally walking the district. I walked it twice in that season, and I literally had people at the door saying, "You're back again? I'm already voting for you. Get out of here."
Yeah. Well, now with the new technology out, you can really define the doors of the people that are voting for you and the people that are willing to vote that you can kind of convince. So a lot of that door knocking has to happen. We hope people can do it. Our guys can do it at least twice, but visit the real people that vote. So you can kind of narrow it down, save a lot of time by not knocking on doors that aren't going to give you any results. But I'll tell you, just between those 5 candidates that we just talked about that are endorsed, we raised close to $200 between us and them themselves, their hard work, close to $200,000 already just for those 5 candidates. And we'll continue to back them with more money as they need, as the race continues to move forward, whether it's in the primary piece or in the general, if needed. But the good thing about how we're raising money too, and this goes right to what you talked about with Julie. Soon as Julie was exposed for saying something she didn't believe in and voting for a bill she didn't believe in, and she was called on it, instead of saying, "Hey, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have voted for it," she decided to attack a business because they put their word out to point out what she did wrong. And that's what's wrong with politics here in Rhode Island. As soon as somebody speaks up, they're going to go out and attack you. They're going to either ban you, cancel a contract, not show up your business. They're going to do whatever they can to make you financially suffer so that you don't go after them again. Well, under the League of Rhode Island Businesses, because we control 40 packs and a 501c4, we run a tandem account that you can click as soon as you go on our website, and somebody can donate from $50 all the way to $9,900. In the same way the unions report money, we report it as aggregate. We don't have to put your name down, because even if you donated the $9,900, it would only put $198 in every pack. That's $2.01 below what we need to have before we got to announce your name. So you can do a donation to the league, which supports candidates all around Rhode Island, and not be targeted. And like I said, whether it's $50 or all the way up to $9,900, anywhere in between, you're safe to make a donation and not have somebody knocking on your door saying, "Hey, what did you do?"
Dave Leveaque, how do people learn more about the league? How do people follow you on social media coordinates, that sort of thing? And how do people contact you if they're interested in running?
Yeah, well, on X, LORIB group, you can look us up, the League of Rhode Island Businesses under Facebook. We got a bunch of information on there. And then LORIB.org, LORIB.org. That'll take you right to our League of Rhode Island Business website. There's a contact form that you can fill out there. We'll reach back out to you. If you want to donate, there's links right there that you can donate. If you click on most of the pictures of the people there, it'll take you right to their website. You can donate directly to them if you choose to do that too. But we encourage you, definitely get involved. Either be part of the solution, help us do all the hard work of, ballots, yard signs, campaigning with the individuals, or physically donate. If the people just step up and donate, we can change Rhode Island this election. We can turn it purple. We can make national news and bring Rhode Island to the middle. We don't care about party in our group. We care that the person that's running is the right candidate to do the right thing, not going up there to sit on a seat, to be, at a particular committee meeting or to show up at some conference or something. It's to go up there and do what's right for the people of Rhode Island. And that has not happened, and it's got to happen this election.
Dave Leveaque, the League of Rhode Island Businesses. Thank you for joining us on this podcast.
Thank you, John.
So that's going to just about do it for this edition of the John Loughlin podcast. Always a pleasure spending a little bit of time with you. Happy you could click on the links and enjoy the podcast, and we hope to see you on our next one. For more information about the John Loughlin campaign, you can go to www.loughlin4ri.com. So it's Loughlin, Loughlin, 4ri.com. Hey, thanks for being with us. This podcast paid for by the Friends of John Loughlin. We'll see you next time.